So here's the top 5 best coasters in the UK. This is my opinion, so leave yours in the comments below. In number 5, we have a fan favourite from our local park, Wickerman. When it opened in 2018, it did so as the first wooden roller coaster the UK had seen in over 2 decades, and what a hit it's been. The pre-show and theming really made this coaster, as we don't really have anything like that in the UK. The pre-show, that is. I wish we'd see more of that in the UK, definitely with some newer coasters over the next few years. It really immerses you in the whole experience. The fire effect and how awesome the coaster looks at night is just a cherry on top. As someone who's had quite a few night rides on Wickerman now, it's still one of my favourites, even when compared to some night rides that I've had in Europe. When she's warmed up as well, she really is different gravy. Some rules for this top 5, by the way. I'm only rating from theme parks I've been to in the UK, so sadly Paulson's and Flamingo Land both make 0 features in today's video, as they're the only theme parks I haven't been to, but this year that will be changing. Back to the list, we're going to go to the northwest with Blackpool Pleasure Beach's Icon. Manufactured by Mack Rides, Icon has a great launch and twists you around many of the roller coasters at Blackpool Pleasure Beach, which is what makes that part really good. You get so close to different layouts, you see so many roller coasters throughout the park, and it really is a unique experience. You get a good amount of time on this coaster as well, which just adds to it. And although I do feel it can be overrated at times, it still has its place and it's an awesome coaster at the park. And I really hope we do start to see some better years over the next few years at Blackpool Pleasure Beach. Okay, we've made it to the top 3, and it's Millennium. At the most underrated park in the UK, Fantasy Island. Ironically, not opening on the Millennium, this is one of the smoothest coasters in the UK, and you get to travel throughout the park, getting some awesome views of the, well, caravans. Seriously though, this is still one of the tallest rides in the UK, and although not as tall as Odyssey, which features at the same park, it's still a beast and one of my favourite rides in the UK. With a fairly fresh, recent paint job as well. I really like the colour scheme. It's quite unique in comparison to a lot of other coasters. Definitely not a generic colour scheme that you tend to see. Also, it's an amusement park, not a theme park, despite Fantasy Island having the best themed indoor area in the UK. Okay, so this is the part of the video where the beef is probably going to start. And in second, we have Hyperia. And yes, it isn't in number 1. I've thought long and hard about this, but I just cannot get past the no theming. It's been a problem of mine for ages now, and as we're rocking up to about a year, my opinion still hasn't changed. But the theming has nothing to do with the ride. Wrong, my friends. Wrong. The theming is a part of the experience and the immersion with the theme park and the ride itself, just like how I mentioned with Wickerman. If Hyperia had theming to go along with it, then it would be my number 1, as the coaster itself is class. The stall is brilliant, the drop is great, especially at the back. It's even a great drop at the front as well. The length or the lack of has always been a bit of an issue with me, but I could get past that if I wasn't literally riding on top of an unfinished building site. I know someone's going to say these hypercoasters don't have themes, and to be fair, you aren't wrong, but the coaster itself doesn't do enough to make up for the lack of theming, in my opinion. Often with these hypercoasters, you'll see longer layouts where it's kind of dragged throughout an area of a park, so the lack of theming is kind of made up for. Hyperia is literally just on grass verges with this weird puddle that's forming. Number 1 for me is the Smiler. Again, I really did think long and hard about this number 1 and 2, and I've been thinking for many months now before making this video. And I know a lot of people have a love-hate relationship, but I just love it, and it's as simple as that. I love the inversions, and although it's rough in places, I've done it so many times, even done some back-to-back-to-back night rides, rides in the rain, rides in the heat, cold, everything. I love it. The theme I can get behind. It does need some TLC urgently, and I'd love to see a lap bar on it, although I never see it happening. And that airtime hill, although it isn't one of the many inversions, wow, it's such a great feature. And to be honest, although I do mention about the inversions a lot on this coaster and about me loving them, that airtime hill is probably one of my favourite bits, believe it or not. My only criticism really come at the end, and that is the bit of the coaster I really do not like. If you get the wrong seat in the wrong row, it's painful, and I can't really ever say I enjoy them last 3. That's probably the only part of the coaster I would work on myself. Again, it definitely is a paint. I mean, it used to be black, but now it's, well, it's getting close to grey. Lap bars would be amazing, and the only other part I don't like is when it's a bright sunny day and you got that vertical lift hill, but that's not really the coaster's fault. The projection mapping we saw last year for the night ride as well has to make make a mention. It's great to see them actually kind of focusing more on night rides. I mean, with Alton After Dark and events like that, they kind of do need to. And it's now time for some honourable mentions, which were close to making the top 5, but missed out for various reasons. And I think an obvious one is Nemesis. For me, it just did not beat anything in the top 5, and that really is as simple as the answer, to be honest. So it's a very close 6. It packs a punch, and the theming is class. Again, that's what I go on about theming. So maybe some people might be surprised that it made the top 5. It is an amazing coaster, Nemesis. I love it. But unfortunately, it doesn't make that top 5 just because I prefer the other 5. Another one of my favourites is the Swarm at 4. May not be as that tall, but that near miss element, and also with it twisting you upside down, you have that little bit of hang time just before slowly dropping. Honestly, it's amazing. I did this 4 times in a row without getting off the back seat during September, as nobody was at the park, and it did not get boring one bit. That near miss every time. I love it. This one might surprise you, but Gold Rush at Drayton Manor, I think it's a great addition to the UK lineup, and although it's not as thrilling as anything else here, you do have to learn to appreciate rides for what they are, and it's a great family thrill. I love the theme behind it. I love that entire area. I actually really am liking what Drayton Manor are doing at the moment, to be honest. That's also my second local park. I'm close to both Alton and Drayton. They are very, very close, and I do love them both. Well, if Alton would sort it out. So I'm sure my listeners gave you a lot to talk about in the comments. We all have our opinions, and I'd be interested to hear yours. So leave it below and I'll give them all a read.